Are you a federal worker facing a RIF and worried about what's going to happen to your pension in a VERA, VSIP, DSR, or a layoff? Well, you're in the right place. I'm going to go over exactly what happens to your pension based on your length of service and your age. I'm a lawyer and former federal worker who took VERA VSIP last year, and I'm doing these videos to try to help some of you navigate the process. Just a reminder, I'm not an employment lawyer, and I'm definitely not your lawyer. I'm a guy with ADHD and an internet connection, and I'm putting these videos out there with the source materials so you can find the information yourself. Before we go further, just like and subscribe so that you'll see the future videos I put out. According to Google Analytics, 95% of the people who watch these videos are not subscribers, so I don't want you to miss future ones that I put out. So just like and subscribe so that you'll see them in your feed when I put them out. Let's get right to the point. Do you lose your federal pension in a RIF? The answer depends on how long you've been working there. If you have less than 5 years of federal service, you're not vested, so you don't get a pension. So what happens to the money that you put in to that pension? First of all, the agency match is gone, but you can get back the money that you put in. You will have to file something. It's called an SF-3106, and the form looks like this, SF-3106. And I'm going to put a link to this form in the description so that you can get it yourself if, God forbid, you need it. But less than 5 years of service, you don't get a pension. But less than 5 years of service, you don't get a pension because you're not vested. So you put in some money, your agency matched it. You would file this form and you can get your money back, but the money that the agency put in is gone. What if you get separated and then you rejoin the federal service? What happens to that money that you took out? You're allowed to put it back. They've changed the rules recently, but if you leave and you don't file this form, the money's going to stay in there and it's not going to do you any good because you won't get a pension later on. So if you have less than 5 years of service, you don't want to leave that money in there. Just fill out this form and you will get your contribution back, not the agency contribution. Now, what happens if you have more than 5 years of service? If you have more than 5 years of service, you are fully vested, and when you hit 62 years old, you will get your pension based on your high 3 times the number of years, and you will get the pension, you will get the COLAs, and you'll also be entitled to Social Security. But that's if you have more than 5 years of service, but less than 10. At that point, you can get your pension, but at 62. I know some people will say you can get it at your MRA, which is usually 57, but if you have more than 5, but less than 10, you'd have to wait till 62. If you have less than 5, you're not vested, but between 5 and 10, you'd have to wait till 62 to get your full pension. You would not be able to take it earlier for a reduced pension. What if you have between 10 and 20? So more than 10, but less than 20. Then yes, you can get it at your MRA and you would get your full pension at 62, and then you would lose some if you take it early. So what's your MRA? Your MRA is your minimum retirement age, and it would depend on when you're born, but for most people, it would be age 57. So if you're born different years, it might be as early as 55, but for most people, it's going to be age 57. So we'll assume it's 57 and go from there. So all this information is from the OPM, and I'm going to link to this document in the description as well. So as I said, if you have 5 years of service, you would be able to get your pension at 62, and it would be the pension based on your years of service times 0.01 times your high 3. If you have between 10 and 20 years of service, you can get it at your MRA plus 10. And as I said, for most people, it would be 57, your minimum retirement age. So at 57, you can start getting your full pension. So at 62, you can get your full pension. You can get 95% pension at 61. You can get 90% pension at 60. And if you get it at 57, you would get a 25% pension. So it's a 25% reduction in pension, so you'd be getting 75% of your pension if you decided to take it at 57 instead of 62. You will get a FERS Social Security supplement, which is less than Social Security, but can make up some of that difference. And between 57 and 62, you would get the FERS supplement. At 62, you would lose the FERS supplement, but you'd be entitled to Social Security. So that's between 10 and 20 years of service. So let's say you're 38 and you have between 10 and 20 years of service and you're let go in a RIF. What would you get? You would get a VSIP if you're offered it. If you're not offered it and you decide to stay and you're terminated, you would get your separation payment based on the years of service you have. So for the first 10 years of service, you would get 1 week severance pay for each week of federal service. For your years that are over 10, you would get 2 weeks of pay for each year of service. And if you are over 40 years old, for each of those years that you are over 40, you would get an additional 10%. And your pension would be locked in because you have more than 5 years of service and you're vested. But since you're not the MRA, you would not be able to take it immediately. And you would be able to take it. You would be able to take it sometime later. So let's say you're 38 and then you left. When you reach 62, you would be entitled to a full pension, and you might get it earlier than that, from 57 to 62 with the FERS supplement, if you've reached the MRA plus 10. And if you want to look that up yourself, it's called either the deferred or delayed retirement option. I can't remember, but I'll put a link to that in the comment as well. Disability retirement. This is a very specialized thing that I won't go into, but there are firms that specifically deal with disability retirement, which is if you suffered an injury or other disability that would make it difficult to work, and that happened while you were in federal service. And there's a lot of advantages to that. It's the gold standard, I would say, and I would definitely talk to a lawyer if you think you qualify for this. It's very detailed, so I don't want to do a video on it because there's lots of things that can go wrong, sort of tripwires if you make a mistake. And it's not something you should do yourself. But if you think you qualify for this, I would definitely book an hour or two with a law firm that specializes in this and see if that's an option for you. So just to recap, less than 5 years, you don't get a pension because you're not fully vested. Between 5 and 10, you would be able to get your pension at 62 and not earlier. And between 10 and 20 years of service, you would be able to get your full pension at 62. You can take a reduced pension from 57 to 62. It goes down 5% for each year you take it earlier. But you get to make up some of that with the FERS supplement, which would go from 57 to 62. And it's not as much as you would get in Social Security, but at age 62, Social Security would kick in and the FERS supplement would go away. You can look up how much you would get in your FERS supplement by estimating your Social Security payments on the Social Security website. And generally, you would get half of that for 10 years of service. And if you had more than that amount of years of service, it would go up. But that's the basics of that. So over 20 years of service, you're in the sweet spot, because if you're over 20 but less than 25, you may be entitled to a VERA and VSIP if you choose to retire, and a DSR if you are forced to retire. So if you have over 20 years of service and you're 50 years of age, you might be offered a VERA, a voluntary early retirement, and you'd be able to get that and a VSIP, a voluntary separation incentive plan, if they offered that. If not, and you were terminated in a RIF, you'd be entitled to a DSR, which is a discontinued service retirement, and it sort of works like an involuntary VERA. So if you have more than 20 years of service and you are over 50, under a VERA or a DSR, you would get your full pension when you leave, whether or not you're the minimum retirement age or anything like that, as long as you're over 50 and have 20 years of service. So I was 53 when I got the VERA. And instead of getting the reduced pension at 57 or the full pension at 62, I left at 53 and I got the full pension at 53. The only drawbacks is between 53 and 57. I will not get the FERS supplement. I only get the full pension. However, at 57, the FERS supplement is going to kick in, and I'll get that until 62. And then at 62, I'll lose the FERS supplement and I will get Social Security. I don't like to think of myself being that old, but it is what it is. Now, if you have over 25 years of service, it doesn't matter what age you are. If you have over 25 years of service, you are entitled to a VERA or VSIP if it's offered, and you are entitled to a DSR if you don't want to take it and you are let go anyway. So age doesn't matter as long as you're over 25 years of federal service. So let's say that you started federal service at 18, 18 and 25. At 43, you might be entitled to a VERA or a VSIP if your agency offered it. And if you said no thanks, and they went through the RIF process and got rid of you anyway, you would get the discontinued service retirement. So you would get your full pension at 43. When you get to 57, you would get your full pension and FERS supplement. And at 62, you would lose a FERS supplement, but you would get Social Security, and you would also start getting a COLA. Your cost of living adjustment kicks in at 62, not before that. So with crazy inflation like what's going on with the Trump tariffs and things like that, that might be something that would hurt you, but that's the way the system works for now. So I'm going to try to do a few more shorter videos like this on very specific topics that you people have asked questions about in the comments, rather than one long video, which could be confusing and have things that are not pertinent to your questions. So if you have specific questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll try to answer them in another specific short video. And I'll do a playlist where I'll have these sort of all linked out so you can find them easily instead of going through one long email. And just to reiterate, I am an attorney, but I'm not your attorney. When I worked in the federal government, I worked in finance, but I was definitely not an employment attorney. But having gone through this process, I feel like I understand some of it. And I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, and your HR people are overwhelmed, and you don't have the spare money laying around to hire somebody to go through this for you. So I'm doing this to put as much info out there and be as helpful as possible. And just knowing that there could be some mistakes that I've made. If I've made a mistake and you know of it, just put it in the comments and link to the source if you can, so that I can correct it in future videos and other people can learn from it as well. We can all help each other out. And as I said, I'll put all the source documents in the description so that you can refer to it yourself. I wouldn't rely on what I'm telling you because I'm not an employment attorney, and I definitely would not rely on what DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, is telling you. So I refuse to pronounce it Doge because G has a G sound, so it should be doggy or douche if you want to mispronounce it, because it's named after Elon Musk. So why not pronounce it douche instead of Doge? But yeah, so I would definitely go to the source materials and check with your union, check with your HR people if you have a question and you can't find it in the source materials. And if you find out something that I haven't mentioned that's inaccurate, please put it in the comment so that we can all benefit from what you found out. And as I said, I will be putting out more videos, shorter videos on specific topics like this to hopefully help you out. And if you want to support the channel, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description, but don't feel like you have to. And if you want to print out these source materials and review them at your leisure or share them with your coworkers, please do. What they're doing now is not fair to you guys, and I know that they're trying to pitch you guys against each other and turn you against each other. I think the way we win is we all stick together. So I enjoyed my 22 years of federal service. I had great coworkers, and I know if I was still there, my coworkers would be helping me navigate this process if there's something I didn't understand. And I want to encourage you to help each other navigate the process, and don't let them drive a wedge between you guys. Stick together. You're doing great work, and you're serving the American people. You were here before these crazy people took office, and you'll be there after, hopefully. And if not, you should get everything that you're legally entitled to. You know, you guys do great work, and I'm sort of hurt to see that some deranged billionaire who runs around on stage with a chainsaw cackling and doing Nazi salutes and hiring 18 and 19-year-olds with names like Big Balls and who post racist stuff online to try to destroy your lives. You know, I'm just sort of shocked and disgusted with that's going on. And now they're trying to destroy the stock market and everything like that, your retirement portfolios. It's all horrible, and I'm trying to help as much as possible, and I encourage you guys to try to help each other too. So just like and subscribe, and you know, you'll get to see the future videos I'm putting out on this. And as I said, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link, but don't feel like you have to use that. You know, if you want to do something nice do something nice for your coworkers. Anyway, good luck out there, everyone.